How's
Hey,
it going?
good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Yeah, I'm really
Um,
excited to be here with you tonight and excited to talk all about travel.
yes, me too. So just to kick things off for everybody, um, my name is Emily Ward, and I'm here with Accessible Go and with Cory from Curb Free with Cory Lee to answer all of your travel questions.
Yeah,
So I'll be the moderator today, asking him questions from our community. So how's it going?
I'm doing really well. I have not traveled in a little bit, so kind of took some time in July to just stay home and ride a lot, but definitely getting ready for travels all fall and winter. Gearing up to get back on the road and super excited.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where's your next trip to?
So I'm going to Panama City Beach, Florida, in about a week and a half for a little beach vacation, staying in an accessible condo. And then after that, I'll be in Maine for a coastal Maine road trip, and then in Colombia in South America in early September. So lots of fun stuff coming up.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great.
Where
That's
are you
awesome.
headed to next?
I'm headed to Sarasota, Florida next,
Oh,
in
nice.
about a month for Labor Day weekend for a girls'
Yeah,
trip.
I love Sarasota. It's such a good area. So much
Yeah,
fun.
I'm excited. I haven't been.
Yeah, you're going to love it. I promise.
Awesome. Well, we can go ahead and I can give an intro of just overall accessible go and who I am, and then we can get right into answering everybody's questions today. So we
Okay.
had quite a few questions get submitted beforehand from our forum, from Cory's Facebook page, and the Accessible Go Facebook page. And then we'll also be taking questions from the chat. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat as they come up and as we go through our live event, and we'll try to get to all of them. So without further ado, let's get started with some introductions. So my name is Emily Ward, and I work on the social team here at Accessible Go. I am a wheelchair user myself. I love to travel, and I currently reside in Austin, Texas. And my favorite travel destination that I've been to internationally is Thailand, and then in the US is New York City. And then kicking it over to you, Cory, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Cory Lee, and I run a wheelchair accessible travel blog called Curb Free with Cory Lee. I started the blog back in late 2013, so we're almost at the 9-year mark, which it's been a bit of a
Wow.
whirlwind ever since I launched it. So in the past 8.5 years, I've been able to visit 39 countries and all 7 continents in a powered wheelchair. And I would say my favorite international destination is probably a two-way tie between India and Morocco. And then domestically, I'm the same as you, Emily, New York City. I could go there every weekend. I love it so much. It's just such a fun city.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. I've never been to Morocco, but I've been dying to go.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really amazing city and surprisingly accessible. There is a tour company there called Morocco Accessible Travel Consultants, and
Okay.
they have like the wheelchair accessible transportation vans, and they even have an adaptive camel saddle where you can like ride a camel in the Sahara Desert, and
Oh, wow.
just like one of the most unique places I've ever been to.
Yeah. Wow. That's wonderful. I
Yeah.
love to hear it. And then I just wanted to give a quick intro of Accessible Go, just for those who aren't familiar. But Accessible Go is a full service accessible travel platform, providing search, reviews, and bookings of accessible hotels worldwide. We have up to 55 data points on over 6,000 hotels in 125 US cities to date. And when you book with us, we convey your accessibility requirements to the hotel and call the hotel on your behalf and then alert immediately if there's an issue. So, just a little bit more about us. And if you want to learn more about Accessible Go, visit our website. So, we can with that we can just dive right into all of the questions from our wonderful community that you guys submitted. So just kicking it off with questions from our wonderful community forum. So Cory, what is your biggest piece of advice for traveling with a power wheelchair?
So lots of advice for that, I would say. But I think the hardest part of traveling, really, for any wheelchair user, whether you use a power chair or a manual chair, but probably especially if you use a power chair, is air travel. And so being able, to transfer on and off the aircraft, and then constantly worrying throughout the flight if your wheelchair is going to be damaged or not. It's something that I always worry about. And then also using the bathroom during a flight is next to impossible for me. So there's a lot that goes into air travel, but I would say, if you use a power wheelchair, really just, when you're flying, try to take as many measures as possible to protect your chair. So if there
Mhm.
are any parts of your chair that can come off and go in like a carry-on bag, like the footrest, the headrest, the joystick, if it comes off easily, the armrest,
Mhm.
definitely take those off and put them in a carry-on bag if possible. I know a lot of power chairs, those parts won't come off easily. So if it
Yeah.
doesn't, which mine doesn't come off too easily, my joystick, so I always just leave it on. But I take bubble wrap and duct tape with me and just like bubble wrap the joystick, armrest, the headrest, and like duct tape that on there. So that seems to work pretty well. But I think just, the more measures that we can take to really protect our chairs, the better when it comes to flying.
Yeah, definitely. I love the bubble wrap and duct tape advice. I know I typically, for my power chair, I take off the joystick and sometimes the
Yeah,
seat if it's raining, because then I don't
yeah,
want the seat to be wet whenever I get it back from the gate.
yeah,
But I have like a foldable chair. It's a little complicated, but
yeah.
that's my small tip and trick.
Yeah, I always take my cushion like on the plane also, and
Mhm.
just sit in my own cushion, like put my cushion in the plane
It's
seat.
comfier.
It's just so much more comfy, and it's just so much better, and you don't have to worry about it like getting lost or damaged also that way. So
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving into our next question. Do you find certain hotel lines more accessible? And if so, which ones?
So I am pretty loyal to Hilton.
Oh, okay.
I just tend to have better experiences with them, and they're pretty consistent across the entire Hilton brand. And also I really love that when you use the Hilton app to book a hotel, they actually guarantee an accessible room with a roll-in shower. So with other brands like Marriott and I think Hyatt also, they're
Mhm.
not guaranteed. It's only like a special request if you need an accessible room. So booking with Hilton, like directly through the Hilton app, they guarantee it. So it tends to go a lot smoother. But that's another reason why it would be easier to just use Accessible Go, because you guys actually call and make sure you know that it's accessible instead of having to like constantly check the app and make sure that it's an accessible room and worry about that. So yeah, definitely recommend Accessible Go if you're needing to
Yeah.
book a hotel.
Especially in places where a Hilton isn't,
Yeah,
or
for
Hilton
sure.
isn't available.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely many other hotel chains out there as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's great to
Hilton's have
hear.
such, yeah, and Hilton's have such like a small percentage of accessible rooms. So, sometimes if you're trying to book a last minute trip, those accessible rooms may be gone and you may have to book like a different hotel that isn't a major brand. So booking through Accessible Go for like one of those smaller like boutique style hotels would
Yeah.
probably be a much safer bet than just like reaching out to the boutique hotel directly.
Yeah, definitely. We agree wholeheartedly. Awesome. Um, okay, moving on the same note of hotels, how difficult is it to find a hotel bed that works with a Hoyer lift?
So it is tremendously difficult for me. So I usually, when I am needing a bed that my Hoyer lift can go under, I'll call the hotel directly. and request photos of the accessible
Oh,
room
okay.
and just ask them, like I'll ask for a manager or for housekeeping manager or someone like that, and
Mhm.
ask them to text me or email me photos of the bed just to be sure that it'll work. Because in the past, I've asked them, and they said, "Oh yeah, like there are 6 inches of clearance underneath," but then I got there and there was only like 1 inch of clearance underneath, and so my
Ugh,
whole lift wouldn't even go under the bed. So
yeah.
now I'm always sure to request photos, and that tends to work a lot better. And it does sometimes take a while to like find the person that can send the photos and take the photos and then actually receive the photos. But it's definitely worth it to go through that time hassle just to be 100% confident that it will work for me.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's love a good, picture proof,
Oh
just
yeah.
to make sure it's all good and everything that you need. Awesome. Okay, switching gears a little bit, once you land and you're at your hotel, do you have any tips of getting around US destinations that might not have wheelchair accessible taxis?
Yeah, so I mean, transportation is really the number one thing that I always research before I go on any trip because I don't want to get to the destination and then suddenly be stuck at the hotel or stuck in the airport because I can't even get to the hotel. So if there aren't wheelchair accessible taxis, then I mean, there really has to be accessible public transportation. So a lot of
Mhm.
cities, especially in the US, have accessible bus systems or accessible like metros, subways. I don't necessarily recommend the subway in New York City because it's a bit tricky, to say the
Yep.
least. But
I've had my fair
um,
share of experiences there that,
uh, I
are
bet.
definitely a bit tricky, to say the
Oh
least.
yeah, yeah. It's a bit of a hassle, but definitely just research as much transportation as you can in advance. And if you're able, even getting like a wheelchair accessible rental van could be a great idea. The company that I usually use is Mobility Works, and so they sell accessible vans around the country, but they also rent them out all across the country. So they're pretty much in every major city in the U.S. And they are available. So that company is Mobility Works.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to find some more information on Mobility Works and share it in our community forum
Yeah,
after
for sure.
this event.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And someone in the comments just said Uber has better choices sometimes. So yeah, that's a good option too. If there aren't any accessible taxis, I know Uber Wave, which is like Wave stands for wheelchair accessible vehicle. Those are available in places like Los Angeles, New York City, I think Chicago and Washington D.C. So you could always check Uber to see if they have accessible options available as well.
Yeah, and Uber also recently announced that they're waiving, as long as you say that you are a wheelchair user or have a mobility impairment, or you're traveling with someone who does, then they waive different type of waive the fee, the wait time fee that starts adding up. I think after 4 minutes, which
Wow.
is just great progress overall that Uber is making.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that, so that's, really good to hear.
Yeah, yeah, it made news about, a couple weeks ago, so I definitely signed up and
Yeah,
marked that so I don't get charged, those wait time fees or
yeah,
whatever.
definitely. Those waits can sometimes be pretty brutal, so yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
adds up
awesome.
quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Um, awesome, okay, and then let's see, what other questions do we have? Oh, okay, one question from, Kristen on our Facebook page is about cruising. I know you've taken many, cruises, and it can be a very accessible, way to travel, much more than flying often. What cruise line do you consider it to be the most accessible, and why?
This is a good question. I have cruised with Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Holland America, Disney, and Virgin Voyages. And I
Wow.
think the most accessible for me was definitely Virgin Voyages. It's a brand new cruise line. It came out a couple years ago, and it is phenomenally accessible. So I was on the Scarlet Lady cruise ship through Virgin Voyages, and I mean, even like to open doorways inside my cabin, they had like the motion sensors. So
Oh,
the bathroom door would like open, the main door would open just with a motion sensor, which was amazing. And then the lights actually turn on and off with an iPad. So I was able to just like use the iPad to turn the lights on and off instead of having to reach up for a switch. And then also all of like most of the other doors on the ship also were just electronic. So I didn't have to like open any of them myself. They just automatically opened, which was amazing to see. So I am a huge, huge fan of Virgin Voyages. I actually booked another cruise with them today.
oh,
So
okay.
this December, I'll be cruising on their other ship, the Valiant Lady, and it's a
Mhm.
newer ship. And it's going to Honduras, Mexico, and to Bimini and the Bahamas. And so I'm so excited to like see that new ship this December. But Virgin is amazing, but I think the other cruise lines are really good too. I think it just really depends on the individual ship. So the newer ships are going to be a lot more accessible than older ships. So with like when you're booking with someone like Carnival or Royal Caribbean, they do have old ships that have been around for like decades. And so those older ships are definitely not going to be as accessible as their newer ships. So when you are booking a cruise, just make sure to look at what date that cruise ship came out. And if it's been within, I would say, the past like 5 years, it's
Mhm.
probably fairly accessible.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I found too, just traveling. I haven't done a ton of cruises, but
Yeah.
traveling in general, I was gonna ask as a follow-up of, do you find because that ship is newer, but you took the words right out of my mouth, so
Yeah.
no, that's great to hear. Katie in the chat said, "Does your chair battery last all day when you're constantly on the go?" Which is a good question.
Yeah, so my chair can go about like 8 to 10 miles
Okay.
on a full charge. So it tends to last all day. But if I'm going somewhere like Disney World, where I'm going to be like rolling around the park all day, getting on rides, going to multiple parks in one day, even, I will just take my battery charger like and put it in my backpack. And then
Mhm.
like while I'm eating lunch or dinner or something, I'll ask to like sit by an outlet so that we can charge my chair like while we're having lunch, just to like fuel it back up because like rolling around Disney World, it's pretty big. So your wheelchair may easily die on the Disney World day. But usually, if it's like not somewhere like Disney World, then I'm pretty good to go.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
There's been a few questions on just overall destinations. So, I know you mentioned that part of that cruise that you're taking in December travels to Mexico. So, Melinda in the chat asked if you have ever traveled to Mexico before, and if so, where and what was the accessibility like?
Yeah, so I have actually only been to Mexico one time. It was on a cruise about like 14 years ago. So it's been a long time, and we went to Cozumel for the day. And I think it was with Carnival, and they offered a wheelchair accessible shore excursion. So they had a van or a bus with a lift on it, and we just like did the shore excursion with them. So I have not traveled a ton in Mexico, unfortunately, but I do know that in Cancun, which is a super popular destination in Mexico. There's a really great company called Accessible Cancun, and I think their website is accessiblecancun.com. And they offer accessible transportation in Cancun. They can book accessible tours and hotels in Cancun. So they are a really good resource to reach out to if you're going to be traveling in that area.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's great to know. I know I've seen many um, tourist companies that are similar to that pop up throughout the US, where I know Florida has had a ton of initiatives specifically to make the state more accessible and, other companies just to ensure that there's, equal opportunity for those with disabilities.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So another question and let me find it because I have quite a few.
Mhm.
But it was about Ireland. So have you been to Ireland before?
Uh,
And what is the best thing that you did there, if so?
yeah, sadly, I've not been to
Oh
Ireland,
no.
so I am dying to go there. It's like in my top 5, like, places I wanna go to, but I do know that one company that does have accessible tours and transportation within Ireland, and that is they're called, Undiscovered Britain and Ireland Limited, and so, they offer wheelchair accessible tours all around the country, so whether you want to do like a 3-day tour or a 10-day tour all across all of Ireland, they can definitely arrange that. And I've heard like really good reviews from people that have gone on their tours. So I hopefully will be going on one in the next couple of years and have that firsthand perspective. But unfortunately, right now, I have not been there.
Okay, got it. Well, we'll be waiting and have to do another one of these once you make it there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
And then Claudia in the chat posted that I know you're doing a group trip to Spain, which is very exciting. Do you have anything else planned in the US? And if you want to share any other information about your Spain trip as well, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so in June of 2023, we are doing a curb-free accessible group trip to Barcelona, Spain and Catalonia, Spain. So we'll be there for about 8 days, traveling all over Barcelona and Catalonia. Really excited about it. It's going to be such a fun tour. But that is the only trip that we have booked so far, group trip. I am hoping, I mean, I do one every year, so it's an annual theme for Curb Free. So I have not started planning 2024 yet, but we will definitely be doing one in 2024. But I have no idea where we'll be going yet. So, any suggestions that you have, I would love to hear them. Definitely post in the comments on where you would love to do an accessible group trip, and hopefully we can get that planned for 2024. But if you are interested in going to Barcelona and Catalonia, Spain in 2023 with us, just go to my website, curbfreewithcorylee.com, and check out my blog post on there all about the trip. We have a couple spots remaining, so we're almost sold out with our second group. We've sold out one group and are almost sold out with the second group. So if you want to come, definitely reach out to us.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Exciting.
I'm so excited. I've been to Spain before, and it's like one of my favorite places in the world. So I'm so excited to like go back.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I was going.
You should
Uh,
come with us.
yeah, I know. I'll have to sign up. And then I see Kathy and Linda have suggested Greece and South Africa
Ah,
respectively.
yeah,
So add
nice.
that to your to your inspiration board,
Yeah,
Corey.
I have not been to Greece, so I see Katrina also says Greece. So it seems like a lot of people want to go to Greece. So maybe that's a good idea. I'll start looking into it. I haven't been there, so it would be a good trip, I think.
Yeah, all the pictures, it's beautiful, and I feel like
Oh
it's
yeah,
the hotspot destination
yeah,
for
definitely.
international travel these days as well.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people going to Greece this summer, and it looks amazing. So I can't wait to go one day.
Yeah. Yes, me too. Okay, scrolling back up and going kind of jumping back into airline travel because
Yeah.
I think a lot of, people always have questions about airline travel with a wheelchair, but we had one question come in. If you have experience flying with both a manual and a power wheelchair at the same time.
So I only use a power wheelchair. So I have never actually flown with a manual chair, but I do know that some airlines will let you stow the manual wheelchair inside the plane, like in the closet, if it's small enough to fit. So it could be an option, but I've really only traveled with a power wheelchair.
Okay.
Do you have any experience with that, Emily?
No, I typically have only traveled with one chair. So
Yeah,
whether that is a manual chair or a power chair, I've traveled
yeah,
with both. But I haven't traveled with both chairs before.
okay.
Yeah. I imagine you would be able to um gate check both wheelchairs, once you get to the gate, and then they would just put him under the plane. A lot of times the airlines will prefer if you notify that you have a wheelchair beforehand, but sometimes it's not even necessary, is what I have found. But just to ensure that they're not putting too many power wheelchairs on the plane, which
Yeah, yeah.
definitely can have an effect on just overall cargo. But I haven't found an issue thus far, and I travel quite a bit, but and I hopefully don't run into it one day either.
Yeah, hopefully not.
um, and yes, I see Katrina, I see your comment. Yeah, if there's room in the cabin.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes the closet, it's like there's something in the closet and it's tough. Um, awesome. And then on the airline topic, do you find that any airlines are best in regards to preventing wheelchair damages?
I mean, I don't think any airline is perfect,
Mhm.
unfortunately, but I am pretty loyal to Delta. But it's really only because I live in Georgia, and so Delta's home base is Atlanta, so they have more
Hmm.
nonstop flights out of Atlanta than any other airline, and so I always prefer a nonstop flight if it's at all possible because that gives my wheelchair less of a chance of being damaged.
Mhm.
Only getting on one flight, instead of like 2 or 3 flights for the layover.
Yeah.
Yeah, if a nonstop is possible, I always do that. Really, no matter what the airline is, I prefer the nonstop.
Okay. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
The,
I
the, I was going to say the Department of Transportation, they actually did release their results. I think it was like early this year, or maybe it
Mhm.
was last year, but it was ranking all of the airlines for how many wheelchairs they damage per day. And they found that I think the worst one, like with the most damages, was American Airlines.
Mhm.
And then Delta was one of the best. So I
Okay.
think Delta was up there pretty good. So, yeah, that's another reason why I'm pretty loyal to Delta.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I hear Southwest is also good at not damaging wheelchairs, but
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate and haven't had my wheelchair damaged on any flights. But in
Nice.
Austin, there's not necessarily a hub, so I
Yeah,
find most Austinites aren't necessarily very loyal to one airline
yeah.
or the other because it's always just whatever's getting there at the best, most convenient time.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then, Patricia asked, "How do you handle it if your power wheelchair does get damaged on the aircraft?"
So if your chair does get damaged, immediately while you're in the airport, request to speak to a CRO, a complaint resolution official. They are in every airport in the world and file a report with them to get your wheelchair fixed. And then also, you can do this once you leave the airport, but file a complaint and or a report with the Department of Transportation directly on their website. And so this will hold the airline accountable for damaging your wheelchair, and they will need to get it fixed. But as long as you file that report with the CRO, the complaint resolution official, and with the DOT, they will pay to get it fixed. It does sometimes take a while. For my chair, when it's been damaged, it sometimes will take a couple weeks. And I've heard other people say that it even takes like a couple months for their chair to get fixed, unfortunately. But at least by doing that and filing the reports, you do know that it will be fixed eventually.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the golden standard of what the process is, so
Yeah.
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. And then one question was just going back to, um, hotels, but do you have any, must-have hotel features or even an ideal hotel feature that you've seen at, one hotel and been like, "Oh my gosh, I wish this was everywhere?"
Yeah, so my dream hotel room, I'll just say that would
Yeah.
be on the ground floor, so I wouldn't have to use an elevator, and that's really great. Like in case of an emergency, if the fire alarm goes off in the middle of the night, like I don't want to have to be carried downstairs. So being on the ground floor is definitely preferred. And then aside from that, I have to have a roll-in shower with smooth entry. That's always great. A handheld shower wand or shower sprayer is a necessity. And then if I'm bringing the Hoyer lift, I do need that clearance underneath the bed for the Hoyer lift.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for a portable Hoyer lift that you travel with?
So I don't have. I mean, the one I have is like not really meant for travel.
Oh, okay.
I am in the process of getting a Mo lift. So it's the Mo Lift Smart 150, and it folds up and like packs into its own suitcase, so you can
Oh.
easily travel with it. But I haven't gotten it yet, but it's in the works. It's just like taken a while to actually get it purchased and get that in. So hopefully within the next like month or so, I'll have it and start traveling with it.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be great. Well, excited to hear how that goes.
Yeah, if I ever get it, it's been such a process, like with the DME, the durable medical equipment supplier, like trying to contact MoLift and go through that whole process. And we've been trying to get it for over a month now, but hopefully one day it'll happen.
Yes, yeah, I find that to be the case for most medical
Oh yeah,
equipment,
for sure.
unfortunately, and getting that in the US is usually not the easiest tasks or the fastest process. But it will happen eventually,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. You just got to be patient.
Yes, definitely. Okay, and then I know we still have some few questions, but we're kind of broaching up on our time here today. But this was absolutely wonderful, and I'll ask one last question
Yeah.
of what is your dream vacation that you want
Uh,
to take one day?
so I would say, and I won't say one, I'll say three.
Okay.
My top three would be Japan. I've been trying to go there since 2020 and actually had a trip booked for the Paralympics in Japan and Tokyo, but that, of course, was canceled. So hopefully, as soon as we can finally go to Japan, I'll definitely be going there. And then also Egypt. I have been wanting to go to Egypt since I was like a little kid, and just seeing the pyramids, like it's always fascinated me. So Egypt is definitely very, very high on my list. And then number three, I would probably say Ireland. I would love to go to Ireland.
Awesome. Yeah, those all seem like great places. So,
Mhm.
excited to see where your travels continue to take you um and sharing them with the world. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um thank you everyone who joined our live today, and we hope you learned something and that your travel questions were answered. We'll be putting a lot of these questions in our community forum on Accessible Go. So the link to that is community.accessiblego.com if you want to go check it out. And you can find Cory at your social handles if you want to share.
Yeah, yeah. So I am on Facebook at Curb Free with Cory Lee, and on Instagram at Curb Free Cory Lee. And then my blog with all of my in-depth accessibility guides for different destinations is curbfreewithcorylee.com.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
And
you so much for having me, Emily. I really appreciate it. And I see there are still like a lot of questions in the chat, so I'll definitely go in after we get done and answer some of those on Facebook as well. So yeah, don't stop asking questions, even if you're watching this later on. I'll try
Mhm.
to check back in and answer some more.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for joining, and we hope everyone else has a wonderful evening.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great night, and I'll see you later. Safe travels.
Yeah, talk soon. Bye.
Bye.